All right, it is day 66, and wow, we have just witnessed a full market cycle. But here's the thing, this was way more than just a price swing. It was a full-blown stress test, and it has fundamentally changed everything about the protocol. So let's dive in and really break down what just happened.
Okay, so let's start with what might seem like a paradox, right? If you just glance at the price, it looks like it went on a big round trip and ended up, well, pretty much back where it started. You might be asking, so what was the point of all that? And that's the key, because while the price tag looks the same, underneath the surface, the protocol itself was completely transformed.
I mean, just look at this journey. It was absolutely wild. We started around $1 back on day 61, then plunged all the way down to under 50 cents, and then an incredible recovery, clawing all the way back up to 95 cents today. A classic textbook V-shaped recovery if I've ever seen one.
And this right here is the absolute key takeaway. The whole journey, that massive stress test, it wasn't for nothing. The trip down and back up was like putting the protocol in a forge. It came out fundamentally stronger, more resilient. So let's get into the specifics of how that happened.
All right, let's kick things off with the first, and I'd argue the most important transformation we saw, staking. You know, when the pressure is on, when things get volatile, what do people actually do with their tokens? The answer here is, well, it's a huge statement of conviction.
Instead of everyone hitting the big red panic button and selling off, the community did the exact opposite. They doubled down. The amount of Plazm staked didn't go down, it went up, from 56% all the way to 63%. That is a massive 7-point jump, a huge show of long-term commitment right in the middle of all that chaos.
And let's be clear, that 7% jump isn't just some small statistical change. In real terms, that translates to almost 40,000 more Plazm tokens being locked away into staking. That's a staggering 69% increase in the total number of tokens being staked. Just incredible.
Yeah, this chart just says it all, doesn't it? It really puts the scale of that commitment into perspective. We went from 54,000 staked tokens to over 91,000. So the crash didn't scare people away. It did the opposite. It actually triggered this huge, fundamental shift towards long-term belief.
Okay, so what happens when tens of thousands of tokens get locked up? Well, it has a direct and really powerful knock-on effect. And that brings us to our next major transformation, a massive squeeze on the available supply.
And the result is, well, it's dramatic. Before all this, about 5% of the total supply was considered liquid, stuff that could easily be sold on the market. Today, that number has been squeezed down to a historic low of just 2%. Think about that. 98% of the entire supply is now effectively off the market, locked up in staking, bonding, you name it.
To put a hard number on that 2%, that means there are only 3,470 Plazm tokens currently liquid and available for sale. That is an incredibly small float. The scarcity is just off the charts right now.
So how did this happen? How did we get to this historic squeeze? Well, it was like a perfect 1-2 punch. First, you had the long-term believers staking their tokens, taking them off the market. And at the same time, you had the short-term sellers, and their tokens were being bought up and permanently destroyed through burns. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? Every single person who panic sold during that crash actually ended up strengthening the protocol. Every fearful exit was an opportunity for the system to swoop in, buy up those tokens, and burn them forever. They literally made the protocol scarcer with every sale.
Okay, so you've got way more people staking and way less supply available. This directly feeds into our next point, because it had a massive impact on strengthening the protocol's most important defense mechanism, the floor prices.
Let's just follow the journey of the base floor, which is kind of the ultimate safety net, right? At the start of the drop, it was sitting around 22 cents. As the supply squeeze happened, it climbed to 33 cents. And now, after this whole cycle, it is solidified at an amazing 82 cents. It didn't just recover with the price, it got fundamentally stronger through the entire process.
So what does that mean for us right now? It means that even with the price back up near where it started, we have this much higher and stronger support level sitting right underneath it. The whole risk profile of the protocol has fundamentally changed for the better.
All right, so while the price was going on this wild roller coaster ride, there was one part of the protocol that was just the steady hand, just chugging along in the background, doing its job. I'm talking about the yield engine.
Think about this.
Right through the absolute peak of the chaos, from the bottom of the crash to the top of the recovery, the protocol just kept on working. It generated about $2,400 in real yield for holders. The machine, it just never stopped. And this is so crucial. The yield engine didn't just survive the volatility, it actually thrived in it. The USDC pools, they grew every single day of the cycle. We saw 53 new bonds get added. The core mechanics just worked flawlessly. In fact, the protocol's capacity to generate yield actually expanded during maximum stress. That's incredible.
Okay, so we've looked at staking, supply, floors, and yield. Let's put it all together now. Let's look at the complete before and after scorecard, because when you see it all side by side, the scale of this transformation is just undeniable.
I mean, this table just tells the whole story, doesn't it? Just look down that change column. The price is about the same, sure, but look at everything else. Staking percentage, up. Liquid supply, way down. The base floor, up a massive 64%. The number of burn tokens, up 27%. And claimed profits, still climbing. Every single health metric is stronger.
And let me be clear, this isn't just some temporary blip. This stress test has forged a permanently more resilient, more robust protocol. And this is the version of the protocol that we're now carrying forward as we head towards that critical date of day 78.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. You know, they say pressure makes diamonds, and that's what we just saw. What could have been, and what many probably expected to be, a moment of weakness, instead became this powerful demonstration of strength. The stress didn't break the protocol, it forged it into something much, much stronger.
And of course, just a quick reminder that this is all for informational purposes. None of this is financial advice, so please always do your own research. Thanks so much for tuning in for this breakdown.